You know, when I reflect on what government's relationship should be with small business and businesses here in Minnesota, I come up with the analogy of a good baseball umpire. You know, if you're playing a baseball game or watching a baseball game and you don't notice the umpire, you don't even think about the umpire, then that's a great umpire right there. Same thing with government. Lately, over the last 10, 20 years especially, we notice government in every faction of business that you could possibly imagine. It's driving business owners nuts. It's leaving people unemployed and dependent on you know, social welfare benefits like unemployment and food stamps. Let I remind you that nearly over 40 million Americans now receive food stamps just to buy food. Moving forward, I think small business, part-time business is the answer, and many people are just going to be forced into it economically, whether you like it or not. That's why it's important to develop skills and talents and allow for a self-discovery process to take place with our students and young adults, to find out what they're good at, to find out where their interests are, and that's where they're going to be starting their business. Whether it's video editing, video production, whether it's welding, whether it's the arts, whether it's jewelry making, and whatnot. And quite frankly, on top of that, they're probably going to have another part-time job or a full-time job where they're making extra cash too. So the answer is to encourage, once again, a new revival of economic activity, stimulus in the private sector, free up the market, allow people to hire and fire with relative ease. If you're in a small business, I'm talking less than 5 people, you know, allow for private contracts to take place, and really to encourage that type of basement business building mentality, and honing in on the skills once again, because everything is getting more and more expensive out there. Families are consolidating, rents are going up, property taxes are skyrocketing, and we need to supplement that with extra work and encourage hard work once again.
You know, actually, I think I answered that partially toward the outset. We passed a jobs bill this year that was a far-reaching bill. One of the things that we did, it's something that I'd authored several years ago, this year, and the Senate was taken over by Senator Kathy Saltzman, was to provide an angel investor tax credit, a small tax credit, for startup businesses in the high-tech area, in the cyber-tech area, and to allow for the job creation and initiation of that kind of an industry. As I mentioned toward the outset, that's something that had been previously a strength in Minnesota. The combination of the medical technology field in conjunction with the University of Minnesota Medical School was something that that combination was leading edge in terms of the world, and that has diminished. So we need to do something like that. I worked back in 2001, 2002 very closely with the Minnesota Technology Association on exactly those kinds of efforts. We passed a little bit back then. We passed more of it in the jobs bill now. But that's a way you're going to be able to increase that kind of job growth. The other thing you want to do, again, is education. Because if we're talking about cyber tech, if we're talking about the fields of technology, you clearly need an educated workforce who can take over on that. I can't. I'm a lawyer. So you're not going to be looking at me for hiring in those fields. But I do think that when we look at trying to create that kind of job growth, the kind of job growth that's taking place, as I mentioned a minute ago, in other parts of the world, you take that combination of allowing those kinds of business initiatives coupled with an education system